I disagree because when maybe I'm looking from like a younger point of view, I guess, and seeing people like Kamala Harris or seeing people like Amanda Gorman. I'm a poet myself, and I find myself inspired by these people. And so maybe it's not like their power in general, it's just seeing them. It's the representation that counts. And so seeing Amanda Gorman speak so well, I write poems as well. I loved seeing her on that stage. I quoted her poem during the Miss Doherty pageant. It was really empowering to see like someone who's so close to my age, who's same color as me. It was really great to have that inspiration, to have that role model there, because there's not a lot of people in those places of political power who can say, oh, I spoke for the president, or who I'm the vice president, or it's things like that. It makes me inspired, if anything. So I agree with what everyone just said, but on the same note, it's inspiring to see them.
It makes you feel good, but that ain't changing.
I disagree because you got local black politicians that do make great impact on their local communities and change a lot of lives. And so it's not just those national politicians. I feel like it's harder to get things done at the national level. But Warnock has done stuff, thank God. He done signed some things. He done signed a couple things. He done sent some money in some places that impact. And so I think that you do have black politicians that have advanced black communities and have advanced black issues. I met Arthur K. Williams last night. Shout out to that. And just hearing actually from other people about his impact and his connections with black communities and the things he's done, that's seen more than just here. That's seen everywhere. So I feel like there's levels to it. Could more black politicians do more? Yes. And are a lot of them niggas scared? They get up in there and they hold a seat? Yes, that happens. But then you got a few that are bold. In fact, what's the old girl that got arrested up there for knocking on the door? Park Cannon. You got ones like that. That's about that life. And shoot, and they walk it like they talk it. So I feel like, hey, we got some black folks that's actually doing something.
Man, Barry.
Now listen now, boy.
He did a lot for DC.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
so there's some examples now.
Maynard Jackson.
Listen now, listen.
Yeah,
so in them local areas, boy, the impact is much stronger.
That's true.
Yeah.
Can we just take a short sidebar? Because I agree with the statement. When I look at people like Representative Byron Donalds out of Florida, and when I look at folks like Senator Tim Scott of South Carolina, they have black power, but for some reason they don't see black in the mirror when they're speaking on the House.
No shade lemonade on that one.
Oh, everybody's drinking. All right.
Take a sip to that. Yeah.
Drink to that.
So that just bothers me. Like they're speaking these things, or saying these things, or voting for these things, and they don't realize that those things impact people who look like them, impact their relatives. So I just think that's important to kind of throw into that conversation.
I would love to know how the Baracks and Kamalas feel about the unseen obligation that they get from the black community to make a change when they know that they really can't.
Right.
And people who are in the know they really can't. But like we talk about black folks, well, what are black folks? Because there's a lot of different levels and onion skins behind what's the black folks. So what layer of black folk you talking about? And I wouldn't want that kind of pressure on me.
That's real. That's
because everybody's not going to understand.
That's real.
All
right.
Okay. You was about to say something.
Can you run that back one more time?
Yeah. Black political power has done, wait a minute, make sure I get this right. Black political power has not advanced black people.
Keep it short. The more we listen to different stuff, it's a lot of times, it's a lot of handkerchief head stuff to go on. You know what I'm saying? That's one of the main things about it. A lot of, like you just said, they don't speak the way when they're supposed to. They'll sit around us and talk the smooth talk. When it comes time to win, outside of few that we've mentioned, we got to applaud them. They're doing that. But for the most part, a lot of times, outside of the gerrymandering and the whole handkerchief head stuff that's going on, it don't equal much.
What's up? Shout out to Malcolm X term. Like, handkerchief head.
All right, our last question. We are here at the end. I trust law enforcement.
Oh, y'all
But look
at you. So no one drunk on that.
Everybody drinking that. If you better put that cap. You trust the police?
I'm gonna sit on the fence, and there's a reason behind that.
Yeah, we know. Well, let's start with your fence then.
So my dad is a retired state trooper. In fact, he was the first black post commander in the state of Georgia in 1990. So I trust my daddy. Because that's my daddy, right? I trust Olivia Benson on SVU. You know, she's a fictional character. But that's about as far as my trust goes.
Lord. Wait, but has your dad experienced any racism from his colleagues and things like that?
Absolutely. Being appointed the first black post commander in 1990, he's talked about it. Does he trust
his colleagues?
He can watch things on the news and just say, no, that's not right. Why are they doing that?
Yeah.
So he don't trust his colleagues.
He calls them out. I'll put it that way. I wouldn't say necessarily trust because I'm not him. I haven't had that experience, but he certainly calls things out. He's called out experiences that I've had with law enforcement. He's had to get involved himself. So
understood.
So I agreed. Now I debated on if I wanted to drink because do I trust the system as a whole? No. But my father was a police officer for 10 years. I have a close friend who's a police officer. When I had my mental health crisis and the police were called on me, there was a black gentleman who treated me with such kindness and respect. I felt completely comfortable, and I knew that even in my mental state being not, grounded on earth, I was going to be okay. And he made sure that I was taken care of until I was put in his car, taken to the hospital, and then taken back home. So I've had experiences with police officers who have treated me with kindness and respect. But also I know that is not everybody's experience. And so I have to acknowledge that. But because I've had those experiences, I trust that there are good people in the police field. I trust that there are good people in law enforcement, in all of these things. And I also know that there are people who take advantage of that position and who take advantage of that power. So that's like, I am on the fence, but because I've had those experiences and because I know that my father was a police officer who ensured that he was taking care of his community, I have to, acknowledge that. Yeah.
All right, to the disagreeers. Who wants to start? Tommy, let's hear from you.
I feel like I can't really speak on this topic because I haven't had any experiences with the police. Only experience I had with the police is when I was driving to the gym and I had ran a red light. I ran a red light and he stopped me. He could have gave me a ticket, but he didn't. He gave me a warning and just told me to, you're young, you have a fast car, just slow down and just make sure you're paying attention. Wow. So I don't feel like I can really say I trust everybody because I don't trust everybody in general.
I feel like when it comes down to it, I did not sit because, like you said, I don't trust the justice system. And growing up in a time where COVID hit and all of these videos were hitting the fan on like what was actually going on, and since it was right up in what was that where Ahmaud Arbery died.
It was in June of 2020, I think. Was it in the summer of 2020?
No, it was
February, excuse me.
Yes, and to know that was right up the road. Like, we live in Albany, and that's what, an hour out?
About
2 hours?
It's the ways, yeah, but it's in Georgia.
It's in Georgia, and to think that, like, that could have been one of my brothers. I have black brothers who are my complexion or a bit darker, and just to think that it could have been one of them, and to think that I've been there when they've had situations with the police, and I was 11 or 12, and I couldn't do anything but to record. But to think that I'm an 11 or a 12-year-old, and I've grown up in a time where I see how police officers can be. I know that all cops aren't bad, of course. I know that there are good cops. There are cops in my family. But we've even had discussions at dinner table on Thanksgiving on why I don't back the blue. And is it an uncomfortable topic? Of course. But I have my reasoning, and just to know that my brothers, when 2 white police officers showed up at our front door, they thought he was someone else, and he was not, and knocked the door off the hinges. It was scary. It was terrifying. And to be an 11 or a 12-year-old in that position, and to think that the only thing that I knew to do was record, because I know how the situation can end. Right. I know that I could have lost my brother that day. It was terrifying. And so that's why I don't, one, trust the law enforcement. Two, I understand that, like I said, all cops are not bad, but I've seen enough. And that doesn't even have to be a white cop, because we've had recent altercations of police with Tyree Nichols, and those were all black cops that beat him to death. And just to think that, like, those are people who looked like me. Those are people who were my complexion, and they were black, and they still treated him with such disrespect and without human decency. It's just, I don't trust law enforcement as a whole, and that's on both sides of the spectrum.
Anybody else?
I think I just had, that's just the systematic thing, of why law enforcement was created, and black or white, it is the system.
Slave catchers.
Yeah.
For those who don't know.
I've been in a situation where, get pulled over at night for tag lights, or, man, it's dark. You watching that close on the expressway, and then usually when they come to the same random questions, that's that has some regard about some type of criminal activity going on. It's usually that, but no. And I do have some colleagues and friends that are law enforcement. I trust those to do what's right, to stand up for what's right. But as a past, I just trust myself to try to stay out the way. I'm so conditioned to maneuvering, even though I'm doing nothing wrong, just that.
You don't have to be doing anything.
Exactly.
You don't. So just definitely want to make sure that he understands that if he does have an issue, unfortunately, it's the way that you're supposed to act.
Right.
And we'll deal with the other stuff on the other end. What I'm saying? But I'm taking
Just
this.
make it home.
Get home safely.
That's
Make
it.
it home
You
alive.
got to put that part in there. So, and if that was a slogan, how can we even say we trust him? How many times?
It's built into how we communicate.
Yeah.
God dang.
10 and 2, you're wrong sometimes.
I'm telling you. F the police.
I've had good and not good experiences. I've never been handcuffed. I've never been arrested. I've been pulled over. I trust my discernment in people. I trust that I'm protected. Everybody has different experiences, and there are people that use positions for evil reasons everywhere we are. It's just sad that that you have to question somebody that's supposedly been chosen to protect and serve, and just know that everybody is not good. I mean, even for police to say that all police can be trusted, it sounds like they are misconceived in thinking that everybody they chose is a perfect person. I trust people until they show me a reason not to, and everybody should be that way. I mean, you can trust your colleague, but people get divorced from their spouse. Come on. Everybody can mess up. Nobody can be 100% trusted. So no, I know that too much power is given to people over people.
And it makes me think about Muhammad Ali's quote, where he talks about the poison, the snakes, the 1,000 snakes running towards you, and you don't know which ones are poisonous.
Exactly.
And that tends to be our experience with police. They pull us over. We don't know which ones. Is this the good cop? Is this the bad cop? You don't know. You just see blue.
Well, and that's part of the power that's given, that's been taken advantage of. Because as an educator, I often say, why is it that we're held to a higher standard than police officers? If I was to touch a child, I'd lose my job, but you can yet kill somebody and still be out there serving. So I think that it's just people assume or give too much, just give them too much grace. There should be more training. There should be higher standards. If you want that job, then clearly you should want it for the purpose of serving. And if you want it that bad, it should be a little more difficult to get it because of the power that comes along with it.
Hashtag end qualified immunity.
That'll
stop all of it.
That's exactly right.
Well, thank you all so much on that note. This has been an amazing conversation. Y'all, the South got something to say.
That's right.
So, this is what we're going to be talking about moving forward with the New South is Rising. This is what it's about, the Black experience, rural South, and all of the ways that we're impacted as Black people here in America. So I want to thank you all so much for tuning in. I'm Sherelle Bird, today's host of a New South is Rising podcast. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe on all of our platforms. And we'll see you again for our next amazing episode. Thank you.
That's a wrap.
All right, I want to take a picture too before you all leave.
I gotta run. I gotta get there.
Yes, you gotta get a picture.
And I got to be somewhere at 5:30.